Welcome to another Buckeye Review update. I'm Dr. M. Mike McNair, co-publisher of the Buckeye Review, serving Youngstown and Warren since 1937. Wanted to provide a quick news update. This is something that we've been trying to do to extend to Facebook and online media. That's our challenge, but we're going through issues to get there. But real quickly, I wanted to make sure that I talked to you about Election Day, which is August 2nd. Well, Election Day is always important. It's a primary in May, typically in May, and also in November. This year in Ohio, there was two primaries, and this is the second primary, which is in August. And although it is predicted and likely a low turnout, I wanted to let our subscribers, readers, listeners, and those who pay attention to remind people that it is Election Day on August 2nd. If you happen to see this today on Sunday, July 31st, souls to the polls today in Mahoning County from 1 to 5 p.m. What does that mean? Basically, the Community Mobilization Committee is encouraging pastors and people to come out and vote en masse at 1 o'clock at the Board of Elections, Mahoning County Board of Elections on Oak Hill Avenue today from 1 to 4. Now, today is early voting. You can vote today, you can vote tomorrow, but Tuesday is Election Day. Now, why is that important? Well, the nation is under siege with all manner of election shenanigans, I'll say. The January 6th committee on the national level has been discovering quite a bit of challenges. If you read last month's Buckeye Review about the blockbuster hearings that are investigating the insurrection attack from January 6, 2021, can you figure that's almost 18 months ago now? It's crazy. But that's there was a recent poll that says, what are the most important issues coming up in this next election, which people will call actually the midterms. It's not a presidential election, it's the midterms. Well, the most important issues are inflation, gas prices, the economy, and abortion. These things are going to be on the ballot. But when people are asked about what is the most important thing, not about the election, but what's going on in America, they're concerned about our democracy, because our democracy, if you pay attention, and I hope you're paying attention, because sometimes we get a little bit jaded. It's too much politics. It's too much divisiveness. It's too much vitriol, right? So we have pulled ourselves into our separate corners, and we're in separate silos. Either MSNBC on the left or Fox News on the right, and never the twain shall meet or talk to each other. That's unfortunate, but the truth is politics is still important. Voting is still important. And what we're talking about and what we're fighting about, hopefully we're not literally fighting, but we're fighting over the right to save our right to vote. And if we follow the trajectory of our history as Americans, we will see that most of the fights come around voting, around who can vote, why they vote and why they don't, or who can stop voting. So in the last election, for example, the last presidential election, there were more votes cast than any time in history. And even though more votes were cast, it was still challenged, and some people are still calling it a lie, to the point where some elected officials now are calling for the votes to be overturned and even Biden's election to be subverted. So I don't want to go necessarily too far down the national rabbit trail, but I did want to encourage you to vote, because while we're talking national, all politics is local. So what does that mean? On the ballot, I'll pull up one, maybe we can put it on the screen, that there is an election for state representative, and because it's a primary and it's a closed primary, if you're a Democrat, you have to take a Democratic ballot. If you're a Republican, you have to take a Republican ballot, but you still should vote. real quickly, just to show you and remind you that the highest voting demographic are senior citizens. But even they, or I'll say we, because I resemble that remark, only voted about 70%, 68%. And whereas younger demographics, people in their, from 18 to 29, they only voted 39%, but in the last presidential election, that young demographic, the first time casting a vote, or you're just getting married, or you're just in a workplace in your early 20s, not 30 yet, they voted 50%. Whereas the previous election, they voted 39%. So their growth in voting participation is up. And while people still lament, oh, only half of them vote, the truth is it's up 11% over 4 years. But it can go up higher, but it also can go up with senior citizens. Every one of us can encourage someone else to vote, because voting is about, everything is about politics, right? As a matter of fact, you can't do anything unless that's not connected to politics, right? You need building codes to change something in your house. You need building codes. You need municipal permission or county commissioner intervention for streets, roads, health care, the pandemic. Oh my goodness, right? So it's always comes down to a few people making a decision about all of us. And if they're making a decision about all of us, we should have an input about who they are. So I just wanted to say that real quick, and I'm going to tell you who's on the ballot. Here's a sample ballot from Mahoney County. And on the Democratic side, Bob Hagan is running for 33rd District State Senator. Mike Ray is running for Central Committeeman on the Democratic ballot. And then there's a contested race for the 59th District, where you will see 4 names: Ronald Shadd, who was a previous school board member, Wayne Penny Jr., Lauren McNally, was a city council person, and John R. Dice, John R. Dice. Those are the 4 names running for 59th State District. This is the district that was held, or is currently being held by Michelle Laporte Hagan. She served 2 terms. She's term limited out. So it's an open seat. If you're a Democrat, you will want to vote in that election. The important thing is you need to know about it. If you're in Trumbull County, 64th District, where you have Democratic Bria Bennett running on the Democratic Party, a young sister, and Vince Peterson, the second Democrat. So that's a contested race for the 64th Ohio district. Now I say 64th, over here was 33rd. There are 99 in Ohio, 99 districts, representative districts, and 33 Senate districts. You can quickly do the math, right? 99, 33, so it's 3 of the districts in each Senate district. Senator Hagan, former Senator Hagan, was running to go back into a seat that he had held years ago. So Bria Bennett versus Vince Peterson on the Democrat side in Trumbull County, and Nick Santucci is running on the Republican side. Again, this is the primary. There will be a general election in November. I believe it's November 8th. And we want to encourage people to vote then as well. So the purpose of today, though, is just to encourage you to vote, to remind you to vote, to remind you how important it is to vote, because our democracy depends on our participation, people's participation. And while you may become a little bit tired, you may become a little bit jaded. Oh, my vote doesn't count. The truth is, your vote does count, and even your non-vote counts, because if you don't vote, You basically that's doubling the vote of those who vote against you. Now you might be thinking, who's voting against me if I don't vote? The people who want something that you don't want. There are clear distinctions between the left and the right. But I'll just tell you my feeling on what seems to be on the left and on the right, right? So on the left seems to be inclusion for everybody. Immigrants, people who are considered others, minorities, women, that's others, right? That's on the left. Big tent. On the right, they say it's a big tent, but the truth is it's corporate America, right? Tax breaks for the rich, for the wealthy, and for corporations. Anything that goes with capitalism, anti-union, anti-voting, the shrink the vote, that's what the right is about. I'm open to conversation or even debate on that, but that's clearly what they're about. And then with the recent J6 hearings, they're about anti-democracy and fascism. That's my opinion. You can read the tea leaves for yourself. But I do want you to, whatever you do, vote, because if you don't vote, basically it's 2 votes for the side you don't want. Here's a case in point. Remember when President Biden's first big recovery plan, and they voted hundreds of billions of dollars, and young people with children got an extra, check for child care in the mail for several months. Well, when they went to try to make that permanent, those who said, nah, you're giving away too much. Remember Senator Manchin said, oh no, I don't want people to go fishing on the public's dole. And so it was torpedoed. And if you are a young person with children, you felt that absence. You got about 5 or 6 months of an extra couple $100 that helped pay the bills and child care, food, and then it's gone. Well, that's a demographic that, as I stated earlier, votes at a very small number. And if they're not paying attention, they don't realize, and I'm just reminding you, that's the reason that it stopped. Because on the right, the Republicans said, nope. And I say Senator Manchin because he's a Democrat, but he was one of the few Democrats, but all of the Republicans said, no, 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 we don't want you to have that. Whereas the corporate welfare is at a level of about 12 times of any social programs. Can I say that again? Corporate tax breaks amount to 12 times more than any social program. And yet, on the right, they'll say, oh, too much helping people. They call it socialism. And if you're not paying attention or you don't know what socialism is, you'll buy into the lie, where the fact is they're basically saying anything on the capitalistic side, and I'm not saying I'm anti-capitalism, but what I am saying, if you studied it, capitalism cares about nothing but profit. That's why with 2 consecutive quarters of no real growth in the economy, they're talking about, are we in a recession? Technically, we may be, even though employment is so high and unemployment is the lowest it's been in history, 3.6%. Crazy. Well, crazy good, right? Because everybody who wants to work is working. But there are other things that are going on that want to not only work, but you want to have a living wage, you want to have better health care. And so right now, there's an opportunity for you to vote to have more of a balance in what goes on with our public funds. Because when those few people decide what's going on with billions of dollars, that money comes from you and from me. It's not coming from the wealthy only, it's coming from all of us. And then a few people say, but we want most of it to go to the wealthy. And we want it to be more fairly distributed because it's our money, it's your money, and your vote for it is saying, I want to have a say for it to go where I think is more important. You're not voting is saying it's okay for those in power to make a decision that you might feel is unhealthy. So real quickly, I just wanted to do that. I didn't want to go on too long. Remind you to pick up a Buckeye Review. Here's the latest edition. Some game changers in it. Reverend Macklin, congratulations to Reverend Macklin, Holy Trinity Missionary Baptist Church for its silver anniversary of ministry. Reverend Macklin is a stalwart pastor, community servant, and leader. And there are many in our community. I only call them out because in this edition and today or this weekend, he is celebrating the silver anniversary of ministry. So congratulations to Reverend Lewis Macklin and his first lady for awesome 25 years of ministry service. This ends our update, Buckeye Review update for now, but stay tuned. There will be more. As you know, we get our information from multiple sources, but the Buckeye Review wants to be a resource that you can trust. So stay tuned. Again, Dr. Mike McNair, stay safe. God bless you. I love you.